Hello everyone, welcome to today's class about quantum physics in 10 minutes for beginners. I read this book so you don't have to, and here is the easiest way to explain quantum physics for beginners, or maybe if you haven't just studied this subject yet. Quantum physics is the study of the smallest things in the universe. So if you zoom in as much as you can, at the end you get really tiny particles. Okay, now here's the crazy part. These particles that quantum physics is studying into don't behave like normal everyday today objects. Take this magnet for example. It is a pink magnet, right? And what if this pink magnet wasn't always pink? What if the moment you looked at it, it hasn't decided yet if it wanted to be pink or green? In quantum physics, it shows that the moment we observe something, it changes behavior. Imagine you see an animal, okay? And the animal behaves normally until it sees that you look at it. And the moment you look at it, it starts to change behavior. It starts to act weird. It starts to run away, for example, that it wouldn't normally do if you didn't look at it. So here's what's happening. With the tiniest things in the universe, it's kind of like the same concept. So before I looked, it hasn't decided if it wanted to be pink or green. Now, of course, this is not what's happening in the magnet. It is with the tiny particles in the universe. Here we have our world, and here we have the quantum world. Now, in our world, when you, for example, have a ball, you can predict the way it behaves. Like, it jumps up and down. In quantum world, that doesn't work like that, because quantum world, you have to imagine it as a blurry cloud of possibilities. It does not have decided what it wants to be until it is observed. Does that make sense? Here is how physicists discovered that this is even happening in our real world, and it will question your reality. So definitely stay with me. You will hear about the two-slit experiment a lot in quantum physics, so here it is explained the easiest way possible. I promise you will understand. Let's start by imagining something that has two slits in it, okay? And then here we have a white screen, for example, okay? And you want to shoot particles, which can be, in this case, for example, a laser or light. So you can imagine a laser and a light goes through two slits, okay? And when the laser and the light goes through two slits, you would think that this is going to happen on the white screen. Two lines appear. Now here's the crazy part. If you would do this at home, this is not what would be happening. You shine a laser through two holes on a white screen, a wave pattern would appear, for example, like this. You can imagine it as when you throw something into a pond, it gets like waves, right? Of course, we would ask ourselves where these particles would go through in order to create such a wave pattern. Let me show you. What they did is they would put an eye detector test onto here to see where the particles would go through. Now here is the crazy part. The moment the particles saw that someone is watching them, this is what they did. They acted completely normal. So only two slits would appear the moment they knew they were being observed. Even when they started to only throw one particle at a time through these holes, it was as if it went through both slits at the same time. The way you can imagine it is with a coin. Now, let's say you throw a coin and it's either head or tails, right? So the moment it's up in the air deciding if it wants to be head or tails, nothing happens, right? But the moment you look at it and decide what's it gonna be, here you have the answers. And that should make you question your whole reality if you think about the tiniest thing in the universe haven't decided what they want to be yet. And in other words, we have found that nothing in our reality is the way it really is, because we, as observers, change the behavior of our reality. Remember that the smartest people in the world started by asking questions, so always feel free to ask me questions in the comments and I will answer them if I can. I read books like this so you don't have to, and I try to explain it for you as easy as possible as someone who hasn't studied this subject, for example. So it would really help if you would like and follow.